Turkey is undeniably one of the most beautiful countries because of its rich culture, tradition, and interesting history. It has a lot of beautiful artifacts and historical buildings, and these attract millions of tourists every year. Turkey is strategically geopolitically located in between Europe and Asia, and it consists of two parts, which is Anatolia and Thrace. Ankara remained its capital city since 1923 after their independence, and Istanbul is the socially and economically biggest city. Turkey has a population of over 85 million residents, in which are mostly diverse in political views like different race, different ethnicity, different religion, and everyone get along swimmingly. What that means is, regardless of where you're from, what you do, or what you believe in, you're always welcome here. Hi, I'm Nathan, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the cons and pros of visiting or living in Turkey. So if you're looking into visiting here soon, or you're planning on relocating here, or you just want to have a glimpse of what living here seems like, stick with me to the end of the video. It's going to be fun. In my 5 years of living here, I've had some really awesome experience and some not so good. I mean, because we can't have the good without the bad. I think that's how the world works. So I've come up with 5 pros and 5 cons of living here, or maybe you're coming to visit. So I'll be talking about the cons first, the 5 cons first, and I'll be talking about the pros later in the video because I wanted to end the video in a positive light. So the first cons I'll be talking about is the language barrier. In here, Turkish is the official language, and more than 90% of the population has it as their first language. Only 17% has English as their second language, and you're going to be having a little bit of tough time in small establishments or their government sectors. Though you can hire a translator to help you in the government sectors, and sometimes in the small establishment, they mostly has English speaker that can help you in getting around some stuffs. So I think it shouldn't be a problem if you're visiting for just few days or few weeks. But if you're going to be staying for months, then you're going to need to learn the language, which will help you, because by learning the language you don't have anything to lose but a lot to gain. And number 2 cons that I'll be talking about is cigarettes, and this is only directed towards a non-smoking visitors, or maybe you're relocating here and you don't smoke. In here, people smoke everywhere, including taxi drivers. They smoke while they are driving you. So it's now boiled down to you to be able to communicate your values, because it now boils down to you to be able to communicate what you want effectively, and you should be polite, because if you tell them you don't want them smoking while they are driving, they won't do that. I think that's the second cons. The number 3 cons that I'll be talking about is traffic, because it feels crowded, especially if you live in Istanbul. It's the socially and economically biggest city, so if you're using the public bus, most times it's crowded, so you have to stand going to wherever it is you're going to. But there are ways to get around that. People are on their way to work in 6 in the morning till like 11 a.m. But if you can go out in between 11 a.m. till 2 p.m., I think the traffic will be down then, so there will be a lot of free movement, and I think this traffic will start. I think the traffic will start again maybe after 2 p.m. until 9 p.m. But after 9 p.m. downward, it's free. I mean, the traffic is down, so you can actually go wherever it is you're going without being held in traffic for hours. And you can mostly make use of the metro bus other than the taxi. The taxi will always get you stuck in traffic most times in their working hours. And the fourth con that I'll be talking about is friendship and maybe relationships. If you're coming here for the first time, maybe you're visiting, but if you're visiting for just few days or few weeks, you can just actually enjoy the city and go back to where you're coming from. But if you're relocating here, coming to stay or something like that, it can be a little bit isolating if you don't actually know a lot of people around here. But if you already know people around here, you can actually easily find people to hang out with. But if you don't, it will be a little bit harder to actually get to make new friends easily, because it's not actually very easy to make friends around here, especially if you're actually careful about people you have in your circle or your circle of friends. It can take some time. So my advice is for you to just take your time, maybe within few weeks or months of getting here, learn the language and then practice your hobby. Maybe you're someone that plays basketball, then you can actually really make friends with people that actually share the same interest as you. That will be easy. The fifth con that I'll be talking about is economic crisis, like inflation. I think it's globally, so that is inevitable. So since like past 3 years to now, the cost of living has risen like times 200. You know what that means, yeah? So technically, if you're relocating here, you should actually be a little bit financially literate. So you should learn how to control the way you spend money. I don't know about your budget though, but you should learn about how to handle money better. So it will actually make your journey easier and make your staying here much more enjoyable. So that's my advice. So now we're going to be moving to the pro side of the country, because Turkey has a lot of amazing experience to offer. And in some cases, they are the perfect example of don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, if you haven't get to know them, they are not actually very social. So the people just mind their business, they concentrate on what they are doing here. But if you actually know one or two people you talk to on a daily basis, or maybe there are some people you always say hi to, maybe good morning, or they've recognized you, the way they interact with you, the way they greet you will gradually change over time. And sometimes they start asking you questions, or maybe sometimes you might be out on the street and people just come up to you and talk to you, like maybe you guys start a conversation. It's really an awesome experience, especially if you speak the language. I'm not so that perfect about the language, but I can actually get around things with the little I know, and it's actually been fun and amazing. I love it. And the number 2 pro that I'll be talking about is food are cheap. Oh my fucking god, fruits and vegetables are very, very cheap. So technically, around the street, if you're going to be eating street food, in which I'll be doing video on later on in my channel, I'll be going around trying some few street foods, and I'll be documenting all the processes. You're going to love it. In our street food here, the average price for street food is like maybe $3.50. It's actually very cheap, and vegetables are actually cheap, fruits are cheap. And in your street, wherever it is you live in Turkey, there's always a place where every week there's a weekly market where most things are sold, including everything you need in the household. All your groceries, all your food items, everything are sold there. So you can actually ask people around you, and they'll point you to the way in which these markets are actually held every week. So it's fun, you should check it out. Food are cheap, vegetables are cheap, and they are everywhere. And number 3 pro is public transport. The public transport are everywhere, and they are accessible to everyone, and they are very cheap. And regardless of where you're going and how far it is, there's always a public bus that will get you there. You just have to find it, or maybe ask people around you. They will point you to the direction of where it is. You can find it. And another pro tip is this: most times, if you're very short on your budget, you can easily make use of the public transport because they are very, very cheap. If you're taking a taxi, sometimes it can be a little bit expensive, but if you make use of the public transport, you're going to be spending 1/3 of the amount you're spending on the taxi on a public bus, and you just only have to sacrifice a little bit of your time. So public transport are cheap, they are everywhere, and they are accessible by everyone. So you should make use of it whenever you're visiting Turkey. And that takes me to the number 4 pro. The number 4 pro is the resident love animals. Yeah, everyone that has been here will tell you, anywhere you go to in Turkey, there's always a street dog or a street cat. You can find them almost everywhere. Downstairs my house, I have almost like maybe 4 dogs, in which anytime I'm downstairs, I play with them. Sometimes walking by the park, I even take them on a walk. They are very cool and awesome to play with. And they build them little houses in which they crawl to whenever it's rainy or it's cold. It's very cute and I love it, especially if you love animals. And the last pros that I'll be talking about is investment. So as you can see, that Turkey is a tourism center. So it's a great place to invest in properties and other areas of investment. So you can actually find a better use for your money around there. And with time, you could become a financially stable person, which is very awesome. So you can make use of your money here. You can make use of your time wisely. So you just need to learn the right way to do it. So if you're watching me for the first time, I'm Nathan, and please consider subscribing to my channel, as I will be bringing you some exclusive content from all around Turkey. Maybe it's the culture, maybe it's the historical buildings, maybe it's the food and all that. I'll have a lot to share with you guys. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.